So Kaseya VSA is a remote monitoring and management software where MSP or managed service providers used to manage IT infrastructure of other businesses remotely. So this company, Kaseya, makes these remote management and monitoring software. It's based in Miami, and because of the latest attacks, hundreds of companies including railway, pharmacy, grocery chain in Sweden, they are directly hit by this supply chain attack, Kaseya VSA Ransomware attack. So let's go and look at that and explore what happened. So on July 2nd, Friday, Kaseya notified that a small number of their on-premises customers, what that means is Kaseya produces SaaS, which is stands for SaaS, Software as a Service. So they also have which is a cloud service, and they also provide software to be installed on premises for clients. So these some of the managed service providers, or MSP, they buy this license and install on their premises, then control or remotely manage other businesses. So Kaseya makes the software, the MSPs buy this software used to manage their clients or companies. So there are two versions. One is a SaaS or SaaS or cloud-based. The other one is on-premises. That means customers don't use it on the cloud. They go and install it on a server or workstation on their facility. That's what's called on-premises. So they're saying only on-premises customers affected but with this ransomware attack. And they proactively shut down their SaaS, which is the cloud services, just to make sure, or in abundance of precaution, they shut it down. They're claiming there's no ransomware or nothing affected on their cloud system. On July 3rd, they advised their customers not to click any links, assuming at that point the ransomware attack was actually caused by a phishing link. Usually that's how people send a phishing link, and once a user clicks on the phishing link, it downloads a software and installs it. That's how most of the malware gets in. I think on July 3rd, that's how Kaseya assumed, and they put all these things on their website. They still have updates on their website. If you go to Kaseya.com, they have alerts and updates on their website. On July 4th, they actually distributed a detection tool which allows the customers of Kaseya to install that tool. When they run it, it will go and examine the on-premises software that the customers are using and identify if that software has been compromised. So that's a detection tool. They rolled out for about 900 customers, and they are being investigating also on the online system, which is like a cloud-based system. So on July 4th, they actually shifted from root cause analysis. That means trying to find out what's actually caused everything, and they're trying to mitigate the vulnerability or beginning the execution service required plan. That means they are not actually trying to figure out how everything happened. They're trying to bring everything back up online without actually investigating and putting a lot of time into why everything happened. So what do we know so far? So we know that hundreds of companies, including railway, pharmacy, grocery chain, all of them were directly hit by the supply chain attack. When we say directly, means these people actually got the ransom note, their system has been locked. These customers, they cannot do anything without paying the ransom. As of July 5th, Kaseya reported that fewer than 60 customers were affected. All of them are using on-premises products. So they're claiming none of the cloud products were affected, only on-premises were affected. But out of those 60 customers, most of the MSPs, managed service provider, they actually support several other customers. So when we're talking about downflow, Kaseya sells software, remember we talked about, and the managed service providers buy this software and use it on different clients. So that's like a downflow. If 60 customers bought their tool and they were using on several different clients, each customer, we're talking about like thousands of people. So the estimate is about 1,500 downstream business businesses are affected at this point. And at least 36,000 were indirectly affected by the attack caused because of its on-premise servers were taken offline. So what they did was, out of precaution, they sent out an email and notified everybody who's using on-premises server, not the cloud. Cloud one was already taken offline by the Kaseya, but they advised, even though the customers who bought and using their software, even though they were not affected by ransomware, they told them to take everything offline. So we're talking about people who actually got attacked by ransomware with a note and their systems got encrypted, and the others customers were actually using on-premises, but they were not affected by ransomware, but indirectly they were asked to take their server offline, so they were out of business too. So that's why the number is so high and it's pretty big. So the ransomware group REvil, it's a Russian-linked group behind the meat processor JBS. It's also linked to this attack. REvil is demanding, actually initially they were demanding for about 5 million immediately following the attack, but as of Sunday they actually upped the ante. They said 70 million will give a unified decryptor. That means that one decryptor will decrypt every single software, each of the clients using every single one of them will be decrypted for the 70 million. So Kaseya CEO and the company is actually thinking it is probably better to give that money and get everybody back up online, because there's a lot of things to deal with. You have to have a PR nightmare, you have to convince customers, the product reputation is going to go down, all of these issues. 70 million's probably worth it. But I think yesterday or this morning when a reporter asked the CEO of Kaseya if they are considering paying the ransom, he would not comment. So we don't know the details at this point, so we will have to wait and see. So how did this happen? The initial speculation is a zero-day attack. It was not a phishing. Normally ransomware will be deployed, or it's been deployed in the past using a phishing attack. Users will get an email saying that blah blah, your bank password has been reset or something, confirm for your lottery win, whatever the phishing email. You click on the link, it'll download a software without you knowing, and once the software is installed, the attacker has backdoor control. But in this case, it was actually a zero-day attack. So zero-day attack, what that means is this it's a vulnerability on the software. It has not been disclosed in the past. That means this is the first time this vulnerability has been disclosed. It turns out there is a CVE. CVE is usually whenever software has a vulnerability, Microsoft, Cisco, Linux, any software tool, you name it, whenever someone discovers a vulnerability, they create a CVE database and assign a number for that CVE. So people can go and look up and see, okay, all the details and apply a patch. If the vendor releases a patch, they can apply it. Most of the big software vendors release the CVE patches immediately. They don't wait for too long. Apparently, for this specific exposure, there's a CVE, and it was probably created in April. Apparently, the Kaseya team vendor was working on it. There was no fix yet. So the initial thought was the attacker could have exploited this particular CVE. We don't know the details. Could have exploited this CVE or another zero-day attack. So this is a typical supply chain attack. That's why U.S. government has been introduced CMMC. I have another presentation on the CMMC, which is Cyber Maturity Model Certification and how to become certified. That's all to protect the supply chain of U.S. defense and government business. If a small business supplying a part or service to a bigger company, usually the attackers try to go after the smaller guys. So if you're a small business, don't think you're safe, nobody's coming after you. That's how the attackers get to the big guys. Go to the small guys and get something, malware, something implanted, or get a backdoor access to the big guy. So if you look at my chart, on the left hand side there's an attacker who will try to get to a third party vendor rather than going to the big guys, because most of the time these big guys will spend a lot of money, have a good security, it's hard to penetrate them. Smaller guys tend not to, like small businesses do not have a lot of budget for cybersecurity, so they try to go with the smaller company, try to get in their system somehow, zero-day exploit or whatever software they're using or something they have, then they get into the big guys. So that's how supply chain attack works. Apparently on this specific attack, they exploited this CVE. The CVE actually causes to bypass the authentication method to control some of the monitoring and management software that Kaseya uses. So the hacker got hold of the software, then used their channel to implant a malware into customers' location, because they were able to bypass the authentication. These are all initial speculation, by the way. It could turn out to be something different. There could be another zero-day exploit or something they have discovered, but initially this is all the investigation. People in the cybersecurity, FBI, I mean FBI hasn't disclosed anything yet, but after postmortem has been done, we will know what the exact cause is, but initial thoughts and speculations are these ones. So the REvil group is a ransomware gang. They are actually based in Russia. They usually take the data from clients and threaten to publish it for ransom. This group is similar to DarkSide. Remember the Colonial Pipeline attack? DarkSide was involved in that. So REvil appears to be part of the DarkSide, or I think the speculation is DarkSide is a spin-off of REvil. So these groups, criminal groups, make an arrangement with affiliates who actually distribute ransomware and split the revenue. They ask the company to pay for it and take the money and split with the people who distribute them. It is really difficult to target and pinpoint where these guys are located and come from, because they are not in the United States, and they most of the time are in Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, because it's really hard to go beyond US jurisdictions. And the funny part is, this group, REvil, they don't target anybody in Russia. They don't target Russian organizations, and not even former Soviet Union countries. So you just go figure where this is coming from. So this code used by REvil resembles the code used by DarkSide on a prior attack. So the speculation is DarkSide is an offshoot of REvil or a partner of REvil. We do not know all of the details, but all the cybersecurity researchers are gathering data and pointing to all these evidences, so that's what we know so far. So what's the status now? So President Biden directed all resources of the government to investigate the incident. That means FBI, CISA or CERT, all of the government agencies are looking into this one. So, and President Biden said the initial thinking was it was not the Russian government, but we're not sure yet. That was like quote from Biden. So they don't suspect it's a Russian government involved. Usually the government involvement, they don't look for money. They actually look for spying and try to target, gather data. They wanted to do reconnaissance. They wanted to plant some software into any organization, mainly government or government contractors, and they would like to extract data or find out what they're doing rather than disclosing, hey, we're there, we're just going to disclose your data. They don't do that, all the government organizations. They just wanted to hide there and keep monitoring and collect whatever they can, and without saying anything. That's what government organizations do. Because of that reason, it could be that government involvement may not be here on this incident. So the Biden administration is urging business to take immediate step to mitigate risk on ransomware attack. And if you want to do latest update on the Kaseya incident, you can go to their website. They have latest status on what they're doing. As of today, which today is July 6th, 2021, they are actually trying to bring their cloud-based, remember they took all of their cloud-based system offline just for precaution, even though their cloud-based system were not affected. The SaaS, software as a service, they only asked the customer to shut down the on-premises servers. The on-premises servers are still shut down, but the cloud-based system are slowly coming back up. On their website they said they had some issues, but they are incrementally bringing the servers on their cloud system slowly bringing back up. And FBI and CISA, which is Cybersecurity Infrastructure and Security Agency, is still investigating this incident. So what do you need to do for you to prepare for a ransomware attack? Not that you can rule out no one's going to get ransomware. It's better to prepare. If something happens, you could always get back in business in no time. So that's what cybersecurity services come in play. If you do everything right, properly, proper risk mitigation, defense in depth, not one thing, virus scanner or anti-malware and forget about everything. No, there's a lot of things you need to do. You need to have multi-factor authentication, you need to have a backup. There's a lot of stuff needs to happen in order for you to get back in business in no time. Just one thing won't cut it. So US government recommends these 5 immediate best practices. Back up your system, images and configurations, regularly test them. Just because you take the backup and throw it somewhere, it doesn't mean it's good. You have to actually restore and test it on a separate system, make sure everything is up and running once you restore. Update and patch systems promptly. Remember we talked about the zero day. You cannot patch anything for a 0 day, but if there's a CVE, promptly patch it. If there's a patch available for any vulnerability from any vendor, immediately patch it. Don't wait. The hackers target these CVEs. That's all they go after. They know some of the smaller organizations, they don't have the budget and money to do this on a regular basis. They go after the small guys. So do this. Have your IT guy or somebody patch the systems promptly. Test your incident response plan. If you do not have an incident response plan, talk to a cybersecurity specialist or somebody who's knowledgeable. Come up with an incident response plan. For example, if you have a ransomware attack, what do? Do you actually shut down the system? You call someone, you call your manager, or try to reboot or pay someone? No, there are a lot of things you need to do to contact FBI. You need to preserve the evidence. There's a lot of things you need to do in case if there's an incident. So have an incident response plan and test your plan. Check your security IT team's work. If somebody said, oh, I have implemented multi-factor authentication, don't take their word for it. Have a test, have someone else test it. Have a cybersecurity assessment. They'll come and make sure whatever you said implemented on your policy is actually implemented and it's working. So do it on a regular basis. Do it annually. Make a cybersecurity assessment or audit on a regular basis to make sure whatever has been implemented, it's there. People move jobs, change jobs. Your system administrator may have implemented everything, but he probably did not document to the next guy. And the next guy said, oh, I thought everything was already there, but you never know. Just perform an audit annually, assessment, cybersecurity assessment, whatever you call it, do it and make sure it's actually everything is working. Don't get caught with the ransomware or malware in your system. Segment your networks. If you have a manufacturing business, separate it, put it on a separate network. All these control systems on a separate network. If you have marketing, put it on a separate network. If you have intellectual property that you're doing business, put it on a separate network and do a firewall, traffic control, do all those things, because if some hacker gets into one part of the network, he cannot go roam freely everywhere else and get into all sorts of data. So that's why segmenting your network is pretty important. So do all these 5 main steps, but more than that, have a comprehensive plan. We recommend people use a CMMC, Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. It's tailored for several businesses, small to medium to enterprise. So there's a lot of things you could do, or even have somebody look at it and check your cybersecurity posture. So this is my contact and our company. If you need any help, just give us a call. I'm just willing to talk. Don't have to pay me to talk. I'm always, if you send me an email, hey, what do I do for this one? I'll give you suggestions. I can talk to you, no problem. I don't charge for talking and everything. So anyway, so if you have any questions, let me know, and check out my other videos on colonial pipeline attack, how to prepare for ransomware, CMMC, and all the other videos. Thank you very much.